Hi everyone! So since we are done with our Unit 1 Lesson 1, which is our History and Nature of Dance, History of Dance Exercise, and Purposes of Dance, now let's move on to our Lesson 2, which is our Common Dance Injuries and Preventions, as well as our review to FITT Principles. I also do assume that you've understood our Lesson 1 since you already had your quiz 1, which focuses of course our unit 1. Okay, so now let's start and let's move on to our lesson 2. In the previous lesson, we've discussed about the brief orientation and history of dance exercise, as well as the purposes of dance. So accordingly, dance is a way of expressing one's thoughts and emotions, and due to that, dancers cannot actually prevent themselves from being on accidents like cramps, sprains, etc. So being able to know how to prevent all of these accidents is very important, since we can prevent that from happening. And that is also the purpose why we include this topic in our lesson. You will then be provided with some ideas on how to manage those injuries and how to prevent it, as well as our FITT principle, in which it can help you to create your own routine that suits your fitness goal. So now let's start first our dance injuries. But before that, we will tackle first the 5 reasons why dancing is a great exercise. Nowadays, especially this pandemic, most of us are too lazy to get the dumbbells, the yoga mats, and to have exercise in general, and even just having a walk outside. So, what others do is they engage the dance. And the most common application that students use is their TikTok application or YouTube to download videos like Zumba, dance exercises, or just basic exercises. So, here are some of the reasons why dancing is a great exercise. We have 5. First, we have our aerobic and anaerobic. Second, it is constantly changing. Third, it is for creative outlet. Fourth, it improves flexibility. And 5, it inspires music. Now let's have this one by one. First one is we have dancing is a great exercise because it is aerobic and anaerobic. Like our bodies need a combination of both types of exercise in order to be at their healthiest. Like in dance, aerobic exercise can be achieved by jumping, swaying, twirling, etc. While anaerobic exercises include holding squat positions, lifting something or someone else, or your own body, and balancing. So that is our aerobic and anaerobic. The second one is we have here dancing is a great exercise because it is constantly changing. So there is an unending supply of dance moves. Like for example, as we scroll through our TikTok applications, there are a lot of dances there. Like you are free to create your own or to imitate the dance itself. Then when you're having your dance exercise or your Zumba, then you can already create your own version or your own dance itself. Then the third one is we have here, it is a creative outlet. So one thing that dancing can improve that jogging and regular gym exercise can't, because you are free to invent new forms, choose your own music, and even put makeup and costumes to your dance routines. Wearing a costume while jogging would elicit some very strange looks. There. Then the next one is dancing is a great exercise because it improves flexibility. One thing that jogging doesn't do is to help our muscles become more flexible. Dancing stretches our body in new ways that you've never tried before. Improved flexibility is great for your body's physical health because it reduces your chances of injury in a fall or sprain and speeds up the time it takes your muscles to heal after a workout. Then lastly, we have here dance is a great exercise because it inspires music. Like surely you have noticed that most people jog with headphones, earphones, earpods, not like in their ears. Oftentimes they have a specific exercise playlist they listen to because the beat of the music helps them go faster and push themselves. The same can be said for dance, except there are far more options. Like with jogging, you have to find music that goes at just the right pace to push your steps. With dance, music can change from slow to fast to pauses, all in a matter of seconds. It's your job to keep up. Your freedom of music choice is nearly endless when you are looking for something to dance to. Even classical music can get your arms and legs flowing. So, those are the 5 reasons why dancing is a great exercise. And now let's move on to our first major topic, which is common dance injuries and prevention. Dance may look ecstatic and effortless, but it requires a lot of effort, strength, flexibility, and stamina. So, given the circumstances, a person should be aware of avoiding the injuries that may occur in engaging to such activities. So, we have here the following common dance injuries and how to avoid them. We actually mentioned 5 common dance injuries, which is our ankle sprain, Achilles tendonitis, trigger toe, ankle impingement, and hip impingement. So let's discuss this one by one. First one is we have our ankle sprain. So ankle sprain are the most common traumatic or acute injury in dancers. So most dancers will experience their first sprain by the age of 13. This injury is caused by any movement that forces the ankle outside of the normal range of motion, resulting in an overstretching or in tear to the ligaments of the ankle. Now let's have the pain and prevention as well as the cure. For the pain, there is an acute onset with pain on the inside or outside of the ankle. Swelling and bruising may be present in more severe cases. So how can we prevent our ankle sprain? We have here 4-way ankle exercises and hip strengthening. And then the cure, we must have our RICE principle, the joint protection, early mobility, and physical therapy. Then the next one is we have here our Achilles tendonitis. For Achilles tendonitis, it is an inflammation of the tendon in the back of the ankle that connects the prime mover for pointing to your foot. As the Achilles is active during race and to point the foot, this overuse injury is quite common in dancers, especially those utilizing improper technique or participating in excessive training. So what is the pain that a person might experience if he or she has Achilles tendonitis? We have here a gradual onset of pain and tenderness just above the heel, which we feel better when warmed up, but worst with jumping or point work. And how can we prevent Achilles tendonitis? First is you need to have stretching. you need to have a stretching, like stretching your Achilles and your foot in parallel, quadriceps, hip, core strengthening to decrease force absorption at the ankle. And then how are we going to cure our Achilles tendonitis? We can have physical therapy focused on correct training technique, modalities to decrease inflammation, calf stretching, and soft tissue to calf and surrounding musculature. Again, that is our Achilles tendonitis. Now let's move on to the third one, which is our trigger toe. Trigger toe is another overuse injury that causes inflammation and damage to muscles that is active during pointing the big toe. Okay, so what is the pain that the person might feel if he or she has trigger toe? Still, there is a gradual onset of pain along inside of ankle and under the foot while pointing the big toe, which may also feel like big toe is stuck. And how are we going to prevent trigger toe? You must have a good form with your raise and not crunching your toes to force a point. Rolling out the arc of your foot with a ball, but not to the point of pain. And how are we going to cure our trigger toe? You must have physical therapy, like correct techniques, modalities to decrease inflammation, stretching and massage, or you can have surgery to release tendon from surrounding tissues if symptoms do not resolve. There, that is our trigger toe. Then the next one is we have our ankle impingement. Ankle impingement is the pinching of tissues at ankle. We have our tibia and talus at either the front or the back of the ankle. So what are the pains that the person might experience if he or she has an ankle impingement? First, there is a pain at the front of the ankle with ply and landing. Then the second one, there is also a pain at the back of the ankle with tendon or relief. Then how are we going to prevent ankle impingement? There must be stretching, like stretching your Achilles and stretching but not forcing your point. So how are we going to cure our ankle impingement? You must have manual therapy to improve ankle mechanics and techniques, surgery if there is a bone spur or extra bone between heel and back of tibia. Again, that is our ankle impingement. Then the last one is we have here our hip impingement. So hip impingement can be caused by many different factors like arthritis, labral tear, stress fracture, muscle strain, snapping hip syndrome, piriformis syndrome, etc. Hip impingement as well is extremely common in dancers due to the imbalance between the amount of external rotation they have, in which external rotation is turning out, compared to the amount of internal rotation, which is the turning in. So now let's have the pain prevention and cure for our hip impingement. For the pain, there is a pain with flexion and internal rotation or turning in. For prevention, a person must have foam rolling with their hip flexors, quadriceps, IT bands, and glutes, as well as strengthening their glutes overall. Then, for the cure, there must have PT with stretching, hip or core strengthening, pelvic stabilization, and dance modifications and rehearsals in which they may result in surgical intervention. So those are our very common or 5 common dance injuries. Again, we have our ankle sprain, Achilles tendonitis, trigger toe, ankle impingement, and our hip impingement. Now let's move on to our second topic, which is the review on FITT principle. But before we proceed with the principles itself, we need to define it first. Like, what is FITT principles? So FITT principles are an exercise prescription to help participants understand how long and how hard they should exercise. It is commonly agreed students need to be empowered to construct and tailor workouts to meet their individual health-related fitness needs. And each component of health-related fitness is important to teach even young students. So this approach will help combat today's media, which emphasizes the need for outward appearance over health and wellness. So I guess we don't have any problem with our FITT principles, since you've already tackled this one during your senior high school or your topic with our exercises. So let's start the review. We have it here, FITT principles. So in order to understand the FITT principles, you must know the meaning of each letter. This principle again helps you towards reaching your own goals effectively, and these are the elements that you need to learn in order to create routines that suits your fitness goals. So what are the FITT principles? FITT stands to F, frequency, I, intensity, T, time, and the last T is type. Now let's have our FITT principles tackled one by one. First one is we have our frequency. So what is frequency? So frequency shows how often you exercise. So the first thing to do in setting up a workout plan is your frequency. Your frequency oftentimes depend on a variety of factors in considering the type of workout you are about to do, how hard you are working for it, your fitness levels, and your exercise goals. For each component of health-related fitness, a safe frequency is 3 to 5 times a week. So that is your frequency. Now let's move on to the letter I, which is our intensity. So intensity is how hard you exercise. Again, how hard you exercise. Intensity has to do with how hard you exert effort during exercise. How you can change the intensity depends on the type of workout you are doing. Intensity can be measured in different ways, depending on the health-related components. For example, monitoring heart rate is one way to gauge intensity during aerobic endurance activities, but gives no indication of intensity during flexibility activities. Again, intensity, how hard you exercise. Then, next we have time. Time stands for how long you exercise. So again, the next element is how long your workout should be each session. There isn't one set rule for how long should you be doing your workout routines, and it will typically depend on your fitness level. As with other aspects of the FITT principle, time varies depending on the health-related fitness component targeted. For example, flexibility or stretching may take 10 to 30 seconds for each stretch, while the minimum time for performing aerobic activity is 20 minutes of continuous activity. Okay, again, it depends on your workout routine. Then the last T is we have our type. So type stands for what kind of exercise you do. So the last part again of our FITT principle is the type of exercise you do, which is the easiest to manipulate in order to avoid the overuse injuries or weight loss. For example, an individual wishing to increase arm strength must exercise the triceps and biceps, while an individual wishing to increase aerobic endurance needs to jog, run, swim, or perform some other aerobically challenging activity. Okay, so again, it depends on what kind of exercise you do. So let's go back. We have here our FITT principle, in which F stands for frequency, I for intensity, T for time, and the last T is type. And then frequency stands for how often you exercise, intensity, how hard you exercise, time, how long you exercise, and then type, what kind of exercise you do. There. So we have here different examples in having or in making your own FITT principles. I have here 3 for weight loss, for cardiovascular exercises, and for increased strength. Again, this is just an example, and later on you will be tasked to create your own FITT principle. Okay, a sample of your FITT principle. Now, so we have here for weight loss, in which the frequency is to get your heart rate up during 3 to 6 days of the week. Again, to get their heart rate up during 3 to 6 days of the week. Then for the intensity, this will depend on your current fitness level. For a high intensity workout, it aims to reach 70 to 80% of your maximum heart rate. Then for the time, it aims for around 20 to 30 minutes per workout, and you can increase the workout length as your endurance builds. And the last one is for the type. Any type of cardiovascular training such as dancing, walking, running, rowing, jumping, hiking, cycling, swimming, etc. Again, that is our FITT for weight loss. Then the second one is we have our FITT for cardiovascular exercises. For the frequency, we have 4 days a week or 4 times a week. Intensity, moderate, 60 to 70% heart rate. Time, 30 minutes. And then the type of exercise is our jog. And then the last one is for increased strength, FITT for increased strength. We have the frequency, still 4 days a week or 4 times a week. Intensity, intermediate, 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions. Type, it could be various leg exercises such as deadlifts, hamstring curls, squats, standing calf raises, leg extension, and leg press or alternatives. And the time is 45 to 60 minutes. There. Those are just an examples of our FITT principles. Now for the last part is we have here tips on this approach or teach in creating your own sample of FITT principles. So I have here 4. First one is you need to choose a few goals. Like get concrete about your goals and try SMART goal planning. Okay, again, before you create a plan, get concrete about your goals. Then, try smart goal planning to assist you or ask yourself these questions. Like, what's my current fitness level? What do I want to achieve in the next month? Next 3 months? Next 6 months? Like, I wanted to have an abs, or I wanted to develop my flexibility, my cardiovascular endurance there. And lastly is, what type of exercise do I like to do? No? So by answering these questions, you'll be able to tailor the plan to meet your individual needs. Then the second one is, don't make the plan too hard. For example, while strength training, the goal is to push your muscles to the point of fatigue without overexerting them. Only increase the weight of an exercise when you can still maintain proper form. Then third, you need to consider time when adjusting your intensity. So the intensity of your workouts can also depend on the length and frequency of them. For example, you may ramp up the intensity on a FITT workout when you know that it's only 10 minutes. And then lastly is we have, add variety to your workouts. To achieve a balanced body, you need to work several different muscle groups. This can mean doing different kinds of activities for fitness, and it will also help you to avoid dreaded exercise rot. So, yan. So those are the tips on this approach. Now let's have a recap. Again, we have here our dance injuries. But before that, we had our 5 reasons why dancing is a great exercise. First, the cause of aerobic and aerobic. It is constantly changing. For creative outlet, improved flexibility, and it inspires music. Then we also have here 5 common dance injuries. We have ankle sprain, Achilles tendonitis, trigger toe, ankle impingement, and our hip impingement. And then for our last topic, we have our FITT principles. FITT means frequency, intensity, time, and type, in which frequency focuses on how often you exercise, intensity, how hard you exercise, time, how long you exercise, and lastly is what kind of exercise you do. And then for the tips on making your own sample of FITT principles, choose a few goals, don't make the plan too hard, consider time when adjusting your intensity, and lastly, add variety to your workouts. So there, we are now done with our lesson 2, which covers again our common dance injuries and preventions, as well as our review to FITT principles. Yeah. Then for the next meeting, still for our evaluation, we will be having our quiz, short quiz for the lesson 2, and I know you can answer them all, since I am confident that you really do listen and understood the topic. Okay, so that's all everyone. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.